Hey everybody, this is Geneva of Geneva's Closet Talk Show. Please make sure you like and share this video and subscribe to Geneva's Closet if you haven't already done so right here on YouTube. And you can follow me on Facebook at Geneva's Closet. And you can email me at genevascloset22@gmail.com. Now, let's get into the news. This is coming from BET.com, and it says, Rodney Reed was convicted of raping and murdering a white woman in 1996 and was sentenced to death by an all-white jury in Texas in 1998. Now, Reed and his family, who has maintained his innocence, is seeking justice before he is scheduled for his execution on November 20th. At 28 years old, Reed was convicted of killing Stacy Stites, 19, in Bastrop, Texas, if I'm saying that correctly. He was ordered to death row because his DNA was found in Stites' vaginal cavity, according to the Innocence Project, an organization dedicated to exonerating wrongly convicted people. From the beginning of the case, Reed addressed the presence of DNA, admitting he and Stites were involved in a secret affair and that the amount of DNA never indicated a murder. Authorities initially suspected the man Stites was engaged to Giddings, police officer Jimmy Fano, as the prime suspect when her partially clothed body was found in a wooded area on April 23rd, 1996. She was strangled with her own belt. Fennell was cleared of any wrongdoing, with some saying the assistance of other racist cops. Reed was indicted for her murder instead. The Innocence Project cited several key pieces of evidence that could lead to Reed's freedom, including forensic scientists declaring it's scientifically impossible that Reed was the murderer. Not only was the murder weapon never tested for DNA, 3 forensic specialists from Reed's racially charged trial submitted sworn affidavits citing how Stites' reported time of death was inaccurate. According to the Innocence Project, her original time of death makes the timeline for Reed killing Stites highly unlikely. At the time of the trial, no witnesses came forward to corroborate Stites and Reed's consensual sexual relationship, assisting the prosecution's argument for a guilty verdict. Since then, Stites' own cousins and co-worker have admitted to knowing about their romantic relationship. In another groundbreaking key element, Bastrop Sheriff's Office Curtis Davis, Fennell's former best friend, admitted Fennell provided contradictory accounts of where he was on the night of Stites' death. Originally saying he was out drinking the evening Stites was killed, he later confessed he was at his apartment he shared with Stites. Since then, it's been determined the actual time of her death occurred during their time together that evening by the new forensic investigation. Fennell, who also failed 2 lie detector tests during the investigation, also had motive to kill his fiancée for cheating on him with another man. I don't know what this word is, also reports a police officer whose identity has not been revealed overheard Fennell say Stites got what she deserved while at her funeral. In 2007, Fennell, who had a history of violence against women, served, get this people, 10 years for kidnapping and sexually assaulting a woman he arrested. On October 10th and 11th, Reed's story was featured on Dr. Phil's 2-part series about the controversial case. A Twitter account has been created to help free Reed with updates to his case and how others can get involved in securing his freedom. Now let's find out a little bit more about this Fennell man, this white man. This is coming from Google.com, and this is actually from 2 years ago. It says a Texas court has allowed Reed and his attorneys to present their case before a judge next month. They plan to argue that a videotaped interview raises questions about the whereabouts of Stites' then fiance, Jimmy Fennell, the night before her murder. It says Reed and his attorneys have argued that forensic evidence linking Reed to the crime was the product of a hidden relationship between Reed and Stites. During the investigation of the murder, Reed told police he had never met Stites, a statement he now says he made out of fear he'd be treated unfairly because Stites was engaged to a police officer. Fennell testified, the white man, during Reed's 1998 trial that he and Stites were home together at the apartment they shared the night of April 22nd, 1996. Fennell testified that he stayed up to watch TV when Stites went to sleep around 9 p.m. When Stites left the next morning for her 3:30 a.m. shift, Fennell said he was asleep. But in an interview with Death Row Stories, videotaped last year, Fennell's friend and Bastrop County Sheriff Investigator Curtis Davis offered a different story. Davis said that Fennell told him that he had been out drinking with some fellow officers the night of the 22nd and came home late, likely around 10 or 11 p.m. after Stites had gone to bed. According to Davis, Fennell told him these details on April 23, 1996, as they waited for word on Stites' whereabouts. Police were searching for Stites after she failed to show up for work, and the truck she had been driving had been discovered around 5 a.m. Her body was found later that day, and a coroner determined she had been raped and strangled. After Stites' murder, Fennell moved to Georgetown, Texas, where he joined the local police force, but he eventually landed behind bars. In 2008, Fennell pleaded guilty to charges of kidnapping and improper sexual activity with a person in custody after a woman he detained when responding to a domestic dispute call accused him of rape. Fennell was sentenced to 10 years and is scheduled to be released in September 2018, so that means he's already out. Ben J, I don't even know who that is, said that the inconsistencies around Fennell's whereabouts in the hours surrounding Stites' murder must be considered within the context of what he called substantial forensic evidence showing that the victim was killed hours before the state believed the crime took place and that the body had been moved, all of which is inconsistent with Mr. Reed's guilt. Reed's legal team plans to submit that forensic evidence along with the videotaped interview at the right of habeas corpus hearing scheduled to begin on October 10th in Bastrop County District Court. It could be the first step towards a new trial for Reed. So, based on my research, Kim Kardashian is supposed to be assisting with trying to get him out of jail, talking to the governor or mayor or somebody, and hopefully she can do that since she done helped other people get out, in addition to Centoya Brown. Especially since Mr. Reed is up for execution in November. So that got to be very scary for him. But, so let's go over this case on what we done heard of it. So Mr. Reed, he was not only sleeping with a white woman in the prejudiced South back in 1996, he was sleeping with a white woman that was dating a police officer? Rubbish, did he even think about that? And then she ended up dead, and I really feel like Fennell have something to do with it, especially since he was just sentenced, or not just, but he was sentenced to 10 years for raping and assaulting someone he arrested. So if he did that, and he felt like his girl was messing with anybody, especially a black man, I'm pretty sure he did say at the funeral that she got what she got, especially once he figured out, if he didn't already know, that she was messing with a black man. So I don't think we are surprised back in 1996, 98, that Mr. Reed was sentenced to death in the South in Texas with an all-white jury. Don't that sound like something from the 30s or the 60s? An all-white jury. Yeah, that's why he got convicted then. So hopefully they can do something to get him out of jail. That's a shame. I don't know. I was kind of looking at his pictures of the kids. I don't know if he was holding up pictures of children to the jail window or whatever. But them children look a little Caucasian as, I don't know. I'm just saying, hopefully Reed has learned his lesson when he do get out. Because he may get out. You know, Kim Kardashian seemed to be pretty good at whatever she be doing to these men to, you know, convince them to get these prisoners out of jail. But so hopefully she do her thug dizzle and get him out, and hopefully he learned his lesson. What do you think?
Watch Daily Exclusive. We interview one of those jurors who put Rodney on death row, and she says if she'd known then what she knows now, her decision would have been very different. Convicted killer Rodney Reed's date with death is on hold. An appellate court stayed his execution indefinitely pending a review of new evidence in the murder of Stacey Stites. KXAN investigative reporter David Bearer is intently following the case.
What do you think as far as his innocence, guilt, or is it unclear?
I can't be sure, but I think that the amount of evidence that the defense team has brought, a lot of people believe it warrants a retrial for Reed.
In court papers, Rodney alleges Stacey's own fiancé, Jimmy Fennell, might be the killer, even though he was long ago ruled out as a suspect. His attorneys say the existing evidence raises a healthy suspicion that Jimmy Fennell and not Mr. Reed committed the murder.
They're still trying to kill me for something I had nothing to do with.
But the state of Texas says there is no dispute. Rodney Reed is the killer.
How do you respond to people who say that Rodney Reed did not kill Stacey Stites?
That they need to read the evidence, read the file, look at the evidence, because it speaks for itself. And none of the evidence that has developed since trial has led us away from that conclusion that he is guilty of this crime.
What about the secret affair?
I'm glad you asked about this secret affair, and I'm going to put it in air quotes, because that's really what it was. She was 18 days away from her wedding. She was obsessed with marrying Jimmy Fennell.
This juror voted to send Rodney Reed to death row, but she now says she has regrets.
I have questions now about whether Rodney was really guilty.
It's a stunning claim you'll see only on Crime Watch Daily. She wonders, did she convict the wrong man? Or hiding her identity for her safety?
I voted guilty. I stand by the decision because I made it based on the evidence that was presented and what I knew at the time. Since then, there have been a lot of things that I've learned in that 20 years or heard about that have made me wonder if Rodney was framed.
No one is a bigger champion of Rodney's innocence than his brother Roderick, who supports his brother's claim that Rodney was in a consensual sexual relationship with Stacey.
Rodney first told me about the relationship. He told me he was seeing this girl, and he said he think that might be the one. And he said there was only one hitch. He said she's, engaged to this police officer.
Roderick says his brother Rodney told him Fennell threatened him when he found out.
Rodney was threatened by Jimmy Fennell, saying that if he continued to see his fiancée, that he would kill him.
And Rodney is getting support from an unlikely source.
I came to a conclusion that was not expected.
That's Heather Staubs, Stacey's first cousin. She claims after she changed her mind about Rodney's guilt, her family cut her off.
As far as my aunt and my cousins are concerned, I've been kicked out of the family, and they don't want anything to do with me. And how would I feel if what was done to Stacey was done to my daughter, and Rodney's a horrible person, and just on and on.
But Stacey's sisters say Heather is just looking for her 15 minutes of fame.
She never even came to the trial.
She was never at the trial. We haven't
Why
seen her.
is it so important to her now? We haven't seen her in many years, and now it's important for her to save Rodney Reed.
Saving Rodney Reed is the full-time job of his attorney, Bryce Benjay, from the Innocence Project.
His conviction's a miscarriage of justice.
Benjay successfully persuaded the Texas Court of Appeals to issue the stay of execution.
We're looking at the video of the crime scene.
Remember those beer cans found at the crime scene? Benjay says DNA results from the cans were never introduced in the trial. He says Rodney's DNA was not on them.
You had a very exculpatory DNA report that said 2 police officers and Stacey couldn't be excluded from this beer can. Now, subsequent DNA testing of that beer can actually excluded Stacey.
Jimmy Fennell was never charged in connection with Stacey's murder. And for now, Rodney remains on death row until the courts sort all this out. But the main question may be impossible to answer. If Rodney didn't kill Stacey, then who did?
If you think Rodney Reed is innocent, then you take him home. Around your family, your daughter, your mother, your sister. If you think he's innocent, be willing to take him home with you.
Obviously, it had relations with Stacey, but were they consensual?
Yes, they were, absolutely.
And how long had you been in a relationship with her?
I actually met her in late October, early November of '95.
Right. She was killed in April of '96, so we're talking about a 5 or 6 month period.
Right.
How many times did you two see each other?
Some weeks I would see her maybe once or twice a week, and there were sometimes I didn't even see her at all.
And you knew at the time that she was engaged, right?
Yeah, I mean, it didn't seem to me that she was really, because if she was, she wouldn't have been having a relationship with me.
And how long before her death on April 23rd had you been with her?
I was with her that late night Sunday, early morning Monday. It was the 21st, 22nd.
Late the night of the 21st or early morning hours of the 22nd.
Right.
And you had an alibi witness.
Yes, my alibi witness that was with me that particular night, morning, we went to work together.
But did other people know you were having a relationship with her?
Yes, there were people that knew, but there were people in my circle, you know, friends and family members of mine.
Do you know Alicia Slater?
No, I don't.
She says that she knew Stacy for a year. She said Stacy said that she knew you and that she spoke very highly of you. She said she didn't tell the police about your relationship with Stacy because she didn't want to get involved and now feels guilty about it. How do you feel about the fact that she's let you sit here for 19 years without ever bringing this out?
I look at it this way. It kind of goes back to when I was asked, did I know Stacy? And the first thing because I didn't want to get involved and I didn't want to be part of an investigation. And I can see where she didn't want to be a part of an investigation. I can say that I do appreciate that she, you know, took the initiative to step forward and say something. I don't even know her.
A key witness who corroborates Rodney's story is Alicia Slater, who has come forward after 19 years to confirm that, yes, Rodney and Stacy were having a secret affair.
Stacy and I worked at a grocery store in Bastrop, Texas. Stacy and I hung out at work only. We talked about girl things, boyfriends. Stacy told me that she was engaged to a police officer in Giddings. It was one of the days at lunch, and I asked her about her engagement ring and if she was really excited to get married. And she then proceeded to tell me that she wasn't that excited because she was sleeping with a black guy named Rodney. I was, wow, Stacy, you need to be careful. In the 90s, Bastrop, Texas did not have many interracial couples. It was kind of an underlining racism that no one really talked about because that's just how it was back then. Stacy did say that she was worried about Jimmy and what he would do if he ever found out she was cheating on him. So she had told me that she was sleeping with Rodney, and it was about a month later that she was murdered. When I found out Stacy had died, my first thought was, did she get caught cheating?
Okay, thank you for being here, and thank you for coming forward and talking about this. So you have no doubt that Stacy was in a relationship with Rodney?
I have no doubt. She told me. And I was talking to her about her engagement ring. I asked her if she was excited about it, and she didn't seem very excited. And she quickly followed that with, well, it's because I'm sleeping with a black guy named Rodney.
You and I are from Texas. And I love Texas. I love the people in Texas. I think they're good people. But there's a broad range of values and beliefs. Tell me about Giddings and Bastrop and that part of the state 20 years ago.
I think back then we didn't really realize how racist it was because we were living in it. I grew up there from kindergarten through my senior year before I moved out of Bastrop. And it was definitely, there weren't many interracial couples at all.
Back then, would there be a lot of judgment about something like this? Is that why?
Definitely.
Now, Stacy's co-workers affidavit, there were several times that I would see Stacy talking to a young black man inside the store. She seemed happy to see him and would be in a good mood. I recall that a few times that Stacy's fiance entered the store to visit her, she would become a nervous wreck. Then Stacy's cousin, in 1995, I remember seeing Stacy coming out of the Dairy Queen with a black man. Stacy and the black man got into a car that Stacy was driving. After Stacy's death, I remember seeing a picture of Rodney Reed on the news. Rodney Reed was the same man I saw with Stacy at the Dairy Queen.
I would like to know how you all feel about this situation, and while you are letting me know, could you please like and share this video and subscribe to Geneva's Closet if you haven't already done so right here on YouTube. And you can follow me on Facebook at Geneva's Closet, and you can email me at genevascloset22@gmail.com. You all have a fabulous day, and I will talk to you later. Bye.